Oran Park provided great racing last week and saw the winless run of Antonio Ruiz and to great fanfare, not least from us here in the booth. Barnes Arabian made good strides with the second place last week as well, but still Neil Sinkowski has plenty of weeks to put in great results, so the fight is not over, and this race will provide a crucial pinnacle of the Formula V Weekend Warriors season roster as we fly into Charlotte Legends Road Course for round 4. Stick your TVs, YouTube apps, and eyes and ears to the Global SimRacing Channel to find out with us how it all shapes up. Hi, I'm Robert O'Brien, and with me in the booth today is Chad Irvine. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peake, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The Charlotte Legends RC is a very unusual layout for the iRacing service, being only used for leagues such as the Formula V Weekend Warriors, but our track guide will get you up to speed with this great circuit.
Welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Until a few years ago, most race fans probably didn't know that this track had a road course layout. Thanks to a huge revamp to prepare for NASCAR to race on it, the Roval is now a top-tier facility. Situated in the northeast corner of Charlotte, North Carolina, there's a whopping 6 different road course layouts. They range from just under a mile to a little over 2 miles in length. Like most Rovals, the high-speed banking on the oval portion makes up the majority of the lap length. However, one unique feature that isn't often seen on other Rovals is that this track includes a decent amount of elevation change. Passing is often difficult, and the 2 chicanes on the oval portion are notorious for their unforgiving curbing. Lesser-powered cars find overtakes a bit easier with the slipstream on the banking, but anything with some oomph is going to have to work very hard to get by their rivals. If anything, attrition often rears its ugly head, and simply keeping the car pointed forward and clean will net you a good finish. While the debate rages on among gearheads on whether oval cars should race here, one thing is for sure, it provides some wild action and almost never disappoints the fans in the stands.
Well, Chad, this track, we saw this before in the last season. This track actually provided quite close competitive racing. What are the drivers are going to have to look out for this time around, though, because it is a snaky bend, and what's going to be on the front of their minds?
Yeah, it's a 1.5 mile track, and it just the margin for error in a couple areas here is just so small. That left-hander turn number 2, they got a tire barrier right there that juts out. You got to watch out for that, and a couple other places you can take it flat to keep your momentum up, but it's very tricky to do so, especially if you run off, because there's barriers just about at every corner here.
Especially given the fact of that infield, it's going to be quite difficult. But before we continue on, I'd like to give you a word from our sponsor, 42 Stitches. 42 Stitches offers custom embroidery and full color heat transfer. Put your logo on shirts, hats, jackets, and anything else that you can imagine to promote your business or organization. They also have recently expanded their capabilities into vinyl graphics, so you can put your company logo on your vehicles, create signage, or hand out stickers to potential customers, and creating brand awareness. Check them out at 42stitches.com and let them put together a package especially for you. We're in the middle of qualifying here, and it's actually going to be quite dicey because we have Antonio Ruiz sitting at the top of the food chain, over 1/10 of a second faster than everybody else. He's continuing his great run, and I think he's one to really be looking out for today.
Yeah, he's shown the pace so far. He also led the pre-race practice as well, but he's not too far behind of Simon Mayer, who's just over 1/10 off. And then Dudu Castro currently sits in the 3rd spot as well. There's a look at the current pole sitter, provisionally at least. That's the corner I was talking about just a moment ago. Those tires that really stick out on the inside. Here in turn number 3, this long sweeping right-hander, you can get almost flat. You do keep it in 3rd gear, but able to pick up a lot of momentum here. And then this corner right here, another very difficult one to get to. You clip that curbing, try to use all the racetrack that you can back to the right side now for the left-hander, and this double left-hander, basically a double apex. You don't straighten out between the two. It is a ton of fun to drive this track, especially in these cars, and the biggest thing that we've seen so far in these cars all across iRacing is just under braking, how upset you can how much you can upset the car under braking. So right now up front, still Antonio Ruiz as he continues to work his way through the lap. Now, as we're just about halfway through qualifying here, it's still Ruiz, Mayer, Castro, but about the top 10 all within a second of each other. And that's going to provide for some great racing here at the Charlotte Legends Road Course. But the 914 is still out in front right now, as there's a look at Ian Gibson currently sitting in the 7th position out of the UK and Ireland, currently running at 7th with a fastest lap of 124.8, number 893 Formula V for him. And these cars, a ton of fun to drive and a very good looking paint there, as there's a look at the 76 of Jesus Rodriguez with a very fancy looking car there. The dual blue tones on the sides really too good to accentuate the body of these cars, but it's a ton of fun as we're just approaching about 3.5 minutes here left in qualifying.
And now we're on with Dudu Castro, who's sitting in third position. He's 0.003 of a second behind Simon Mayer. As you can see by the gaps on your screens, car 73 just ever so close to Simon Mayer, and he's been doing very well. He's coming up to the line, and does he improve? This is not going to be improvement, so he'll have to come around again and try to capitalize on another lap. It's actually very nice. Excuse me. A very nice livery on that little car.
Yeah, there's some great liveries all throughout this field, and here you see him going through that left-hander. It's going to be fun to watch cars try to stick it too wide through there. It's one of the better passing zones here at this track.
And just a note, by the way, Ian Gibson last time around. We're looking at Forns Arabian right now, as he also tries to improve on a fourth position. He wasn't actually the best qualifier around here the last time around as well, and he was pipped to the post by our good friend David Gaspers, who unfortunately has not joined us today. But Forns Arabian putting down the rubber and making sure that he represents the top flight of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. Just to come back to the point I was going to make was the car number 893 Ian Gibson. The last time around, he actually went the entire race without fueling, and I think surprised nearly every single person with how ingenious of a move he made. And we interviewed him at that time after the race, and he was actually saying that it was quite the close one. Are any drivers going to try and emulate that today, or is it just too risky?
It's a very risky move. It's one of those where you have to commit to it from the onset, because if you try to push too hard, even not just on the first lap, as close as these guys might want to cut it on fuel, just even that first lap could throw your entire fuel strategy out the window. And the one thing to note for Mr. Gibson is he is currently 1/1000th off of the sixth position, and he's very close there to getting up into the top five. But these cars, I mean, the slightest of margins, we see it right there between Gibson and Barry for the sixth spot.
Look, yeah, Chris Montgomery coming through turn 13. Does he improve? The clock says he won't. He'll have to come around again. And they're going to be on their last laps. Now, anybody who's crossing the line now will have one more lap to make it stick. And Jesus Rodriguez, he's looking pretty sharp on this run. Does he improve? He's stuck in 10th. He's surrounded by a group of S2 guys. We'll explain just in a minute what the different rankings mean, but you'll have a charge to get up to the next pro, which is Rocco Horvath, who is currently in 5th. He does not improve this time, just outside, just shy of improving his lap time.
Yeah, fortunately for him, though, he was able to cross the line in time. He's got one more shot at it, so we're going to have to see if he can't turn in a faster lap. Simon Mayer currently sits 3rd. He's not going to improve here, but he's going to be on an absolute flight here. Does he cross the line in time? It's close. That might just be enough for him.
Yep, anybody who's on the lap now, this is the last lap for them to be able to do anything, so he has one more shot. Tom Gradwell doesn't improve, and he's pulled over to the side, and he is finished, as is Forns Arabian. By the way, Rocco Horvath just crossed the line. He puts himself into 2nd. So Forns Arabian, at the very minimum, starts 5th on the grid. Chris Montgomery, he is on a good lap, but is it any faster than the one he did before? No, just outside the envelope there. But Antonio Ruiz obviously very happy with his lap of 1:24.244. Kenneth Batley does improve. Does it push him up? It does not. He only gets closer to the guy ahead of him of Jesus Rodriguez. Ian Gibson, does he improve? No.
It looks like there might be one final car left out on track. That's Simon Mayer. We just saw him barely cross the line to get there. Look at him use all of this racetrack, and now he's going to sweep through wide to the sweeping right-hander here. Can he improve? It's going to be close, but I'm not sure that he's going to have it.
into 12, into 13, making sure the car is as level as possible. He needs to keep a nice tight line. Oh, he's taking the racing line, trying to improve. No, it's all gone wrong for him. Unfortunately, it is not as fast, so he sticks into 4th, and that is the end of the qualifying proceedings. We'll get to the grid now, which will take you to the great Antonio Ruiz, pipping the post of everybody once again this time around. He's on a bit of a form. He could be one of our faster drivers on the track now at this stage, if all considered. 124, 224 was the time to beat, and that was set by Antonio Ruiz. Rocco Horvath is lining up on beside him. In 2nd and 3rd is Dudu Castro, topping out the podium spots. Simon Mayer in 4th, Fords Arabian in 5th, Christopher Barry in 6th. Ian Gibson has a lot to climb for if he's using his same tricks again, this time around in 7th. Johan Batenga in 8th, Leroy Coppage in 9th, Jesus Rodriguez is in 10th.
And in the 11th spot, we just talked about him not long ago. It's Kenneth Batley, then Nils Sentowski, followed by Kurt Nunez and Tom Gradwell. And Paulo Barham was one of the first cars out here in the warm-up. He's going to be starting from the 15th spot. Then in 16th is Chris Montgomery. Frederick Resnick and Artur Lurio in the 18th spot. And Artur is a new driver to the series. And they're going to be wrapping up the field here with Brian Short and Jeremy Lewis. Both of those drivers did not set times in qualifying.
Just to point out, by the way, we forgot to mention the standings going into this round. So we'll start with the S1s, who are the pros of the series. 3,000 iRacing or higher for these guys, and it's led by Forens Arabian with 279 points. In 2nd place, it's going to be Neil Sinkowski with 251 or a 28-point deficit. And then you have to jump all the way down to 3rd position for Simon Mayer, who's sitting on 152 points and is 126 points behind. Greg Stefani in 4th, just a hair and a whisker behind him, and he is on 109. And Dudu Castro, he started well in positions but has had issues throughout the race that has put him down the pecking order, and he starts minus 201 or 78 points in 5th. Now let's see, we'll go to S2 standings there, Chad.
Yeah, the S2 standings are everybody that is under a 3,000 I rating. That includes Jeremy Lewis, who leads that by only 9 points over Johan Botenga, followed by Simon Mayer. Jesus Rodriguez is 66 points back, and Isan Jin, very nice in the 5th position, 69 points off of your championship leader there in S2.
Then we get to the Masters. We have, as the stalwart of the series, is going to be Antonio Ruiz. He's been absolutely magnanimous and magnificent is the better word I should be using, but magnificent on that last race down at Oran Park. And he's already put his rubber stamp on where he wants to be. He's actually overall lead of the point standings with 285. Tom Gradwell is minus 121, or he is going to be 164 points in 2nd. Then it's a jump down into 3rd position with Jeff Cantor standing on 117 points. Lever Coppage standing currently on 106 points or minus 179 deficit. And then Kurt Nune on 89 points or a big deficit to the top runner. 2 minutes left on the clock, but the details of the race is going to be as it is for every other week. It's going to be a 40-minute race, 1 pit stop for fuel, or if you're Ian Gibson last time around, yeah, it's a question mark right beside the 1 fuel stop with shared setups. And this is the kind of thing I like to see is sharing the setups, being very sort of cooperative and very sociable with the drivers here. And I like that kind of fostering of a community. I know, Chad, we talked before, but before the broadcast, you actually also run in different leagues. How important is that sort of camaraderie? Is this something that you'd like to see in a group such as this?
Yeah, the biggest thing to me for a league isn't the racing on the track. You can have great racing just about everywhere, but the people that are in it and how they all get along and how they interact is what really puts a league up above or behind one another. In my Formula V league that I was running in the other night, we actually have what we call after dark sessions where we put random cars on random tracks and ended up with Formula Vs at the Irwindale Figure 8 last night. And so it's always fun to get drivers with similar mindsets out of that competitive realm and just get them into that friendship and camaraderie area as we see these guys wrap up the warm-up period.
Car on the money, and the car that I have my eyes currently fixed on is going to be Antonio Ruiz. He said last week that he was happy and beside himself, to put it for a better word, that it has finally happened for him. And you know, from my own perspective, I feel like he could have cracked the code, as it were, and have really gotten into focus with that car. And he certainly has put his rubber stamp on the proceedings tonight. And it goes without saying, it's definitely going to be quite tricky, because we're actually coming up to we're looking at Forza Arabian's car. That pit stop is going to be quite difficult.
Yeah, it's a very interesting pit road, and it's very critical that you get your entry right. It's very short. It's right there basically at the entrance to the tri-oval, since we're running the opposite direction here. Yeah, it's basically at the entrance to the tri-oval. It's a very short pit road, so finding your box is going to be critical, and you could be in for a world of hurt if you don't find your box immediately and kind of get yourself in position to get a clean exit as well.
Find your box, get into the box, and get out without a scrape or a bruise, and that is what they're going to be focusing on today. Now, this is going to be a quite long pace lap, as you can see. Drivers are getting themselves all lined up, ready to go. It's a double width restart, or a double width start in this case. So there'll be two abreast, and then once a green flag waves, it's definitely going to be side-by-side action going into turn one and sweeping around. For our front runner here, pictured, is going to be Antonio Ruiz. What's going to go through his mind? Is he going to try and focus on that turn one, or is he, if he gets, pushed, if somebody's pushing his buttons and trying to get past him, will he just let that happen and sort of recoup afterwards?
With the fact that it's a 40-minute race and there's so many good passing opportunities here, so many ways to make up ground, I think that if somebody gets by you in turn one, you kind of just have to let it go and kind of get yourself all settled in for the next 40 minutes that are in front of you, because it's going to be a ton of fun out here, just shy of, I'd probably say, about 35 laps in these cars. So once these guys get rolling, as they seem to be pulling away from the grid, these guys are just going to have to focus in here, strap those belts down tight one more time, and just lock those eyes forward and be ready to go here from Charlotte.
And it is going to be a field filled with absolute megalomania, because, and as I say before, megalomania, because last time out it was side-by-side action up until about turn 4, where we thought in the booth before the race started that it would be impossible to really sort of have side-by-side action for that long at the start of a race. But these guys have proved us wrong before of how entertaining these cars can be. They don't have much speed in them, so around the technical sections right now, we're coming around several of the 180 turns is going to be in towards 6 into the 7, and back onto the proper infield for the actual road course, sweeping around. Is it going to be a case of waiting to see if the guy ahead of you makes the mistake coming around one of these corners, or will you try and get on the inside, try and force them out wide, take the long way around?
I think you might have to force the issue, just because if somebody makes a mistake in front of you, there's not a lot of runoff at some of these courses, not much room for you to try to squeak by. It's a wider track compared to some that we've seen here in this league, but at the same time, you can get punished in a lot of different areas if you just end up running out of room.
Now, as we come around, this is going to be turn 11, and it is going to be, I think, Antonio Ruiz has a lot to demonstrate, because we've seen what he can do as the pace car pulls off into the very quick pit stop, and that is going to be Antonio Ruiz taking it away immediately. He's not going to wait around. He's done the exact opposite. He's made sure that he doesn't need to go side by side with anybody. Green flag racing. That is going to be an overtake just before the line. Oh, crikey, a little bit of a move there from the 73, a little bit of a wobble. He's lost the position already as Antonio Ruiz just takes away.
Yeah, and there was some contact there as well, right up at the front. I think it was Rocco Horvath that was ended up getting hit from behind there off the start. He's lost a ton of ground. Oh, there's more cars around.
Oh, that is going to be a few cars. That's going to be the car of Kenneth Batley. Not the starting we wanted, and he's got no front right wheel that is broken. And as we shuffle in, that is definitely going to be good news for this man. That is Simon Mayer in the very nice looking rustic appearance of like an old fighter in the car of number 5 as he tries to challenge Antonio Ruiz for that P1 here. But don't forget about Farns Arabian. You see that pink car? It's right in the background. It's always there. And you can just hear the music of him coming in, the boss music, as he comes on the inside of Dudu Castro. Castro's trying to fight coming into this turn 8, sweeping around. Correction, that's going to be turn 11. And he makes it stick.
Wow, we've seen some very close battles. You see that freight train just behind him, about 11 cars or so, line of stern, just trying to hold on to position. This braking zone right here, though, for turn number 1, you don't want to be directly behind somebody. If you get that braking point just wrong, we saw a couple of guys make contact on lap number 1. Thankfully, though, they kept things pointing in the right direction. We've got more contact there in turn number 1. Nilsson Towski going around. There's another car that was involved in that as well, but it looks like everybody pointed the right direction. No harm, no foul, as here's on board with Christopher Barry, trying to get right back up to Farns Arabian, currently holding on to that 4th spot.
Christopher Barry apparently has just gotten out his rulebook and said, I don't need this rulebook, I can race as fast as these guys, and has charged up into 5th position and has solidified himself right behind Farns Arabian, which is a great place to be because Farns can cut through traffic and always seems to have an inkling to leave the door open just so somebody else can slip in behind him and get a pass. But Dudu Castro absolutely putting up the stone wall and saying, no, if you want to get by me, Farns, you're going to have to fight the long way around. And this is a great track in the infield. Oh no! Barry, no, he's gone around. He's spun at turn 10.
And fortunately, the car behind was not close enough. He was able to make evasive maneuvers, so he's not going to lose any tires to his car. He's still got every single piece, it looks like, but he's going to be in a world of hurt. He's got some work to do to make up ground because he was showing pace as he qualified 6th.
Antonio Ruiz, and then Simon Mayer setting the fastest laps with 1:25, and then Dudu Castro setting a 0:68, just very shy of the other 2 front runners. And we just want to come back and bring you back to that start because that was a blistering start from Antonio Ruiz, but there was a lot of kerfuffle going into turn 1. As we are looking on board in car number 14, we can just see Kenneth Batley getting spun around there. And here's another angle of it. If we can see, that is going to be the bright blue car of Rocco. And that's not going to be Rocco Horvath. Rocco Horvath is actually the car that had a little bit of a touch there, just ever so slightly. And he having to essentially go around the outside, taking evasive maneuvers, making sure that he didn't come across traffic. On the inside, we saw that was the car battling. And we have Ian Gibson trying to... He was looking like he was doing very well at the start, but then he had an accident in the second contact. But there we see, oh, there was the incident that had the issue. You just see there, he had all 4 wheels when he was spun around, and then just a tap. A little tap is all it does for these kinds of cars.
And you just see how close the car behind is there behind Batley, the yellow and white car right behind him. There, he's going to just too late on the brakes. Slightest tap there sends him around.
And just the evasive maneuvers. Oh, crikey, that was another... See, just a little tap and it breaks his wheel. I'd say he is... he's just sat there and he's hoping and hoping that the car, at the very least, will still go after a fast repair. By the way, that is another thing. They do have fast repairs, so they can still come back out and try again. And Rocco Horvath, nightmare start for him. He's not had a great start in this situation. It's now down into 17th, and we saw the reason why that is, but trailing backwards, having to take a pit stop just to fix a few issues. He didn't take a fast repair though, but he might have just wanted to take the pit stop and then try and see if he can come back at it. Looking at Paulo Brim versus Jesus Rodriguez going into turn number 7.
And by the way, Antonio Ruiz now, the battle up front very close, still about half a second between him and Mayer, but these 3, I mean, they're not giving each other anywhere to not giving each other any breathing room. You know, you try to make a move on the guy in front, and you open the door for the car behind. So right now, these three, some of the closest battling on the track, and that's for the 7th, 8th, 9th positions.
And as the cones go flying, as the tires and the suspension strike them, you can see what drivers are having to do to try and keep the other guy behind, trying to take corners as best as possible, essentially as tight as possible, try and get the best apex move coming out. We've been riding on board with Tom Gredwell, the car 909, fighting off Paulo Brem as he is looking on his inside.
Yeah, the issue with that is going to be on the outside of the next corner. Look at how Rodriguez trying to peek his nose to the inside there at turn number 2, and he's going to get that move done. A terrible exit to the corner there for Brem.
And just absolutely having to navigate. You're navigating the track, and you're also then navigating the fact that you've got cars all which way around you, and just Jesus Rodriguez capitalizing on the moment when Paulo Brem just did not have all pieces of the chessboard put together. And that was a mistake actually from Tom Gredwell, by the way. He actually went a bit wide coming into 7 and having to tuck the car back in. And back out they go. The battle's still raging on. Another thing as well is that Barnes Arabian is being held up by Dudu Castro. The gap has now extended to just coming on to 3 seconds. It is not going to be good news for Barnes. He wants to be as far up the leaderboard as possible, because any points lost throughout the season at any stage, no matter what position he's lost them to or who he's lost them to, is going to be punishing for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, Raven, he's got some work to do. He started this race in the 5th position. He's only made up 1 spot, even though there's been some drivers with issues in front of him. But right now, he's doing everything he can to get back up to the front. As this is looking out the back of Castro, and Castro and everything he can. Just hold on to that podium spot, see if he can't get another podium here as we approach 8 minutes gone by in this race.
Pit window usually opens 10 minutes into a race and closes within the last 5 or 10 minutes. And it is going to be a bit of an issue. And by the way, that is Frederic Stick of the car number 252 getting passed by Christopher Barry. Barry making up time. You can just see on our replay that move being made. The checkerboard 252 just getting swarmed over by the car 701, and a very, very elegant move pulled in here on his inside. Very well seen by Frederic. Did not fight the issue.
Yeah, and you see the smoke coming out of the back of these cars. That is a design aspect of these running the old Volkswagen engine. So there's going to produce a lot of smoke. That is intentional. That does not mean that there's a mechanical issue with the car. That's just a unique little detail they've added here into iRacing to make it a little more like the real world, as these guys continue to turn laps here, as we just keep on working our way closer and closer to the pit window opening that you mentioned. These guys just having a blast out there so far.
I will say this. First time I saw that, I did actually think that an engine had exploded. So it was a good thing to learn that it was by design. Car 76 is going to be Jesus Rodriguez in 9th position. Already, he's actually looking to see if he can push forward. He is at the same speed as Paulo Brem ahead of him. And we are looking at Frederic trying to hold on to that slipstream and just keeping it going. It's going to be a lot of holding station for a lot of these drivers, because as we've seen plenty of times, sweet jump up to Antonio Ruiz and Simon Mayer. These two in particular would be very key aspects of what point I'm about to make. But Simon Mayer would actually benefit from holding station behind Antonio Ruiz, get the slipstream, take him over in pits. I mean, he only needs 4 to 5 tenths of a fuel save, and he's got Antonio Ruiz by the wheel, really, and he's got choices to overtake then through the pits.
And by the way, a little further back in the field, the number 14 of Rocco Horvath, we saw him start second, and unfortunately be involved in an incident early. But he is all over the back of Ian Gibson and has been for quite some time. He's going to try to make a move here in turn number 1. But man, he is just very aggressive all over the back of that car, and he finally gets the move done. And here he goes, setting his sights now on Kurt Nunez, that's next car up in front of him.
And we've had an accident inside. That's going to be Frederik Richtig there. Just a checkerboard 252 towing. That is not... Oh, crikey. That is going to be Jesus Rodriguez with a broken front right wheel. Add that to your oh, crikey counters. And here we go. Here's a replay of that. I'm pretty sure that was an accident by accident. And then just... Oh!
Yeah, I talked about those tires jutting out. They're both on the inside and the outside of that corner, and it just grabbed the nose of that car. And unfortunately, it's really hard to get your car back to the inside of the corner once you already started arcing out for corner exits. So let's take a look here. As we see, there you see the car in front. There you see Rodriguez up in front, and he's just going to plow straight into the wall. The issue is the tires catch the nose so tightly that the back end just comes completely around.
Yeah, and I feel so bad for Frederic. Nothing he could have done, really, apart from Sam on the brakes. But even then, I would have imagined that he would have still suffered from some considerable damage. And that is him having to take a fast repair as soon as he can possibly do so. Back with Dudu Castro and Forns Arabian. And again, we're still seeing issues with Forns Arabian this time around. He's actually almost a second consistently behind Dudu Castro. He's at threat of losing the slipstream. It's not going to be mega levels of slipstream. These cars really don't have aero whatsoever. I mean, you can see the suspension on these things, but it's still worth fuel saving for. And if he's outside of the slipstream range, he could be in very big trouble where he can't do anything in strategy-wise in the pits.
Yeah, you can try to short fuel, you can try different things when you do come into pit, but I mean, if you're losing more and more time, you're just gonna have to push more and more and use more and more fuel. So yeah, you're basically trying to keep yourself within striking distance for the pit stop, unless somebody's gonna try to take that question mark of the one stop and try to stretch fuel as long as you can to say nothing.
Ian Gibson's still out there. He's still our question mark. He's still our benchmark for the strategy, but this is the current situation at first and second. Simon Mayer has actually started to close the gap. He is actually now looking like he really wants to challenge for the lead. He closed the gap from 0.6 to 0.4, and through turn 1 he was actually 0.3. Backing off now to sort of just give himself a little bit of a distance, a little bit of distance on the track. So if Antonio Ruiz does go wide, does make a mistake, he can slide it in perfectly. But Antonio Ruiz keeping it absolutely surgical in terms of precision right now, and he's been like that for this entire race. As soon as he got going when everybody else got sleeping, and I think he had probably a big smile on his face when he was like, sayonara, I am in first.
Yeah, and he's done a great job to hold on to that first position. Just want to note, I saw cars similar to these run at Indianapolis Motor Speedway last weekend in the SCCA runoffs, and man, it was amazing watching such small cars just blast around that historic track. So much fun to see these things in the real world.
Again, closing the gap. Puff of smoke. I have to remind myself every time I see it, it's not a burst engine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a quirk of these old engines, but not so old is the racing. It's absolutely electric. Oh, crikey. That is going to be Simon Mayer going very wide, almost having to strike the wall as our car 73 did. And by the way, I can update, car 76 rather, I can update, Frederik Richtig did not elect to come back out and use his fastest repair. He has retired the car, so he will no longer participate in this race.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see just how that accident transpired. That's very unfortunate for him, and hopefully the rest of these guys are able to keep things clean the rest of the way. 15 minutes in as we continue to work laps here at Charlotte. So much fun. So many great battles all throughout this field right now.
One particular one is Tom Gradwell. he's actually fighting for position. Christopher Barry absolutely charging after his mistake. He's actually really put the socks up, pulled them up very, very toughly and said, right, we need to get back up there. We need to get back into fifth. And you can just see how elegantly he actually put the move on. That was always going to be a tough one. Tom Gradwell is no slouch. He can race very well, but just one mistake on the inside went wide actually. He wanted to take a wider apex coming into turn 7, but obviously you can't do that when Christopher Barry's right to your left.
Yeah, Barry just absolutely forced the issue, went very late into that corner, and got the move done cleanly. Now he's going to work on the 505 up in front of him, and he's just picking off cars one at a time here. Let's see if he doesn't get too overzealous with his passes and with how aggressive he is.
He is the victim of the commentator's curse, unfortunately. I have to apologize to him for that. But, you know, he has made an absolutely megalomania effort to try and get back up there. And as you can see, he is right on the tailpipe of Paolo Brem, spitting smoke rearwards. And you can just see how quickly he's closed this gap. It's magnificent. Again, on the inside, he's trying to do the same trick he did with Tom Gradwell too far back though, and having to do that double apex and just hold station. And I think he will be probably one to pit because he is pushing that car quite hard, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, he's going to have to pay. There's no question mark for him on the one stop, but he's doing everything he can just to make up spaces. And the thing for Christopher Barry is he is so aggressive and so fast in the second sector of this racetrack that he just makes up ground on just about everybody. And that's where he makes up the most ground. And then you'll see through this final part in the start of the next lap, he's basically going to be even with Paolo Brem right in front of him. So he's going to have to make his move. He might do it here at 1, but he's also been very... Oh, there he is, tucking the nose in. And can he get to move side by side? Fantastic bit of driving between the two. You see all the space that they leave each other. Very respectful racing as now they work their way back towards turn number 2.
Still side by side between Christopher Barry and Paolo Brem, but Paolo Brem holding station, and then the over-under. What a class act from Christopher Barry. That was a great move into 2. Did not fret. Side-by-side action can still leave the gap open for you. All he needed to do was bide his time and wait, and that was a great move by him. Now,
He was setting that move up all the way on entry to the corner. He was all the way to the right side. You knew he was going to make that move, and that was a textbook execution of the crossover.
By the way, another interesting statistic about the 701, he's the only amateur at this very moment to have a lap counted that was 1 minute 24. He did a 1:24.909 and it's his best lap. All other cars numbered from 200 to 899, apart from Christopher, have done 1:25 their best lap. So he is the fastest amateur out there. So watch out, Cobbage. Watch out, Batenga.
And that car definitely stands out there as we look back up here at the 664 of Johan Batenga. And man, he is having fun out there. He's 8 seconds out in front of Mr. Barry, but can he hold on? It's about halfway through this race, coming up on it, and he's going to have some work to do. But did Barry lose the spot right?
Barry did lose the position. Paolo Brem fought back. The Empire struck back, as it were, on the same place last lap that Christopher Barry gained a position. He has now lost a position. On the inside there, that's going to be, on your right-hand side, it's going to be Paolo Brem. On your left, it's going to be the green car for Christopher Barry. And you can just see there, he saw it in his mirrors and sort of had to go out wide. He saw the car was inside and was like, oh, I need to get some room. Very good racecraft, but obviously hindering his push-up.
Yeah, with aggressive as he's been, Christopher Barry, I'm surprised that he left the inside open there. Surprised he didn't cover it off, knowing that Paolo Brem was right behind him. But he's proven to himself he can make the move and he can get by him. He's been the faster car based on looking at lap times between the two. But right now, Christopher Barry still stuck in that 8th spot, trying to work his charge back up through the field.
Making sure that he is going to be absolutely on point when he needs to be, make that overtake happen. And Antonio Ruiz still driving the socks off that car 914 and doing a very great job. Simon Mayer as well, doing a very great job driving the socks off that car and making sure that he is... Oh no! Christopher Barry, what's gone wrong? I just pitted. Oh goodness gracious! I thought he was. I thought he had an accident. But he just came in for a pit stop. 11 seconds. Sorry, was his pit stop.
So he now drops all the way back to the 13th position. He's going to have a couple of cars right in front of him, but right now it is Christopher Barry just in the 13th spot. He was up until 8th. But everybody else has still yet to pit out in front. We'll have to see how that works for everybody else.
And just for the mathematicians out there and the strategy watchers, Rocco Horvath did a pit stop of 6.8 seconds. He's in 9th now. If what I fear might be happening, if Forns Arabian and if Dudu Castro, and we can just see the comparison between Barry and Horvath, Barry only 3 seconds slower in the actual lane itself, but in the box was just under 5 seconds slower due to taking on more fuel. If Farns Arabian does not improve his pace, he will be stuck, and he's currently just under 8 seconds adrift. If Antonio Ruiz and Simon Mayer both have blisteringly fast pit stops, he won't be gaining positions against them. So all that saving fuel will be for nothing.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch how all this strategy plays out. So far, though, still Ray's out in front, and Mayer's not letting him get away. Just look at how close these guys still are. They've been about this far apart the last 23 minutes.
Simon Mayer, I really do think now at this stage, is feathering the throttle ever so slightly, ever so gently through these corners, trying to save every milliliter of fuel, the micro milliliter of fuel, if that ever were a word. But he's just trying to hold station, use the slipstream, and just watch that right hand side. That is the pit entry that they'll have to use, and they'll have to come in at a very rapid pace and just make sure that he saves enough fuel to overtake Reese in the pit stops. Valid strategy, and he's making full use of it.
And another car working its way down pit road. Paulo Brem does pit, and he's going to lose a ton of positions doing so, but he's good to the end on fuel as well. He was in his box for 15.6 seconds, so a considerably longer stop than everybody else that's come in so far.
And that is going to be good news for Barry, because he does not need to fight Paulo Brem further, because the gap between them now is just under, or now it's just over 7 seconds. As he comes on to the start-finish straight, I think Barry made a good move, because he's in clear air, so he can race at his own pace, and he's actually putting in fast laps right now. Not necessarily as fast as the two front runners who've been doing 124s, but very low 125s has him faster than most of the others. Paulo Brem just stopped. He stopped on the track. Something's gone wrong. Something's gone wrong with Paulo Brem. He's stopping.
Did something happen at the exit of turn 1? He is very slow. Did he lose forward drive?
Let me have a look here. He's just... It's... he's coasting the car. Something's gone wrong. What has gone wrong with Paulo Brem? He had fuel. He went for fuel stuff for 15 seconds. This is weird, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's gone... You know, he just pulled over to the side of the road. I'll keep you updated on that, but back to the front two of Antonio Reese and Simon Mayer, still sort of negotiating a very pleasant and a very good race between the two of them. Not making any sort of moves, just making sure that the two of them get through this race nice and easy. And Simon Mayer keeping up very good pace with Antonio Reese, who has been the faster driver on aggregate between the two. And Simon Mayer obviously holding behind and making sure to fuel save with the extra slipstream that he has, and making sure that he can leapfrog when he has his time to shine. And now, by the way, Forens Arabian, he is now 10 seconds behind Antonio Ruiz. The gap has extended. Forens Arabian is doing 126s versus 124s done by Antonio Ruiz. So that's over a second a lap. And speculative, there's going to be 29 laps over the 40 minutes or the 40 minutes of this race. But there's Tom Gredwell and Marco Horvath doing battle.
Yeah, I think that 2 second gap in lap times, or 1.5 seconds, whatever it might be, might just be trying to save as much fuel as possible at this point, realizing he can't catch him on speed alone. As here you see Rocco just being held up just the slightest amount. Can he get by? He does. As he's going to improve, and there you see the 505 still sitting on what would technically be the NASCAR pit road. Not sure what the issue is there. Yeah, and he's back rolling once again.
Something did definitely happen, unfortunately for him, and we'll have to, if he comes for an interview after the race, we'll have to ask him what happened there. Probably had a hardware failure or something happened, but hopefully all is well in his world. And back again to the front again, Simon Mayer just sitting. He's like the lazy alligator, and he's making sure. It's like, yes, I like being towed by the air, get free fuel, make sure that I am in a great position to be able to strike at the correct time and make that overtake in the pits. And just by the way, Rocco Horvath is now closing in very quickly on Coppage and Batenga. He did a 1:24.842 in that last lap. He's one of the fastest. He's the second fastest car on the track at this moment in time. He's actually faster to everyone other than Antonio Ruiz, who put in a 1:24.635 last round. Johan Batenga under threat. And by the way, Leroy Coppage into the pits he comes.
Yeah, so more and more guys just one by one coming down pit road. As there you see a long stop, 12.8 seconds there for the 916, and he's back underway. That's on par just about with some of the other guys around him.
Comes out ahead of Kurt Nune, behind Christopher Barry. Christopher Barry puts another one behind him through pit stop. And now, well, Christopher Barry definitely could have had, a tighter pit stop, but he chose just to have plenty of fuel to be able to work with, keep the accelerator on as much as possible, and I think he's going to try and keep as much speed through corners as possible as he chases down. His next target would be Ian Gibson, who's yet to stop. Ian Gibson's running 1:25.581s, and there he is, just at the edge of the screens. There he is now, the car 893 of that's very, very plain but very nice livery on that car, but he is going to be under threat if he doesn't pick up the pace, because 0.3 of a second over a lap, that's still plenty of gap to close.
Yeah, still just over 10 minutes left in this race, and the 893, he's going to be feeling some pressure here not very long from now from Christopher Barry. Barry's gotten himself back up into the top 10. It's been an interesting drive for him. We're going to have to see where he can finish this race off at.
Rocco Horvath, by the way, still charging. He's got a 10-second gap, but he's not going to let that stop him. He's got 10 seconds to Johan Batenga, but Batenga does have to stop, as does Forens Arabian. So Rocco could still pull the magic out of the carpet and put on an absolute show where he leapfrogs into fourth, presumably, if both Arabian and Johan both stop. Now Batenga looks like he will stop. We don't know. It's a question mark over Forens if he will stop. He has actually picked up the pace just a little bit. He has now gone to a 1:25.950, but the gap is still increasing. It is now 13 seconds to the race leader and 8 seconds to Dudu Castro, who kept his foot flat to the floor.
And by the way, just a note on Ian Gibson's car, since you mentioned his livery, Sad Lowers and Giants is a sponsor on that car. That's actually the band that he is in. They're an Irish rock band, so good self-promotion there for you, Ian. Great to get some screen time, and we'll give you guys a shout-out here on the air.
Sandflippers and Giants. I mean, that does sound like an Irish band name. As an Irishman myself, I can attest to that. But he actually, coming back to him, he was the pioneer of the no fuel strategy here at the Legends RC. He did say it was, I'm not quoting here, but he did say there's something along the lines of it was actually quite difficult because there was very little room for error. He had to run his own strategy 100% of the time rather than being able to battle anybody. He had to keep to a specific fuel usage per lap. If he's done it again this time around, he's actually leapfrogged quite a few places that he would have lost if he had to pit while they're coming out of coming out of two. Has to keep it nice and steady though. Back though to the front, you can just see the same thing that has happened lap after lap is Simon Mayer sitting ever so closely behind Antonio Ruiz, making sure that he uses as much slipstream as possible, closes the gap where he needs to, lets the gap expand where he needs to, racing his own strategy. And of course, I'm pretty sure Antonio Ruiz knows what's happening behind him. But there's nothing he can do, really. There's no gap that he can pull. He's driving. The two of them are the fastest drivers on the track.
Yeah, lap after lap. But Dudu Castro actually just turned the fastest lap last time by the stripe by just about 0.2 of a second. So he's catching them, but very slowly. And by my math, he's not going to be able to catch those front two. Fastest lap of the race still is held by Simon Mayer, however. And that's a 124.3. So these guys have fallen off about 0.4 of a second from what they were running earlier, but they're still putting up some very respectable pace, especially compared to some of the guys back behind that are in the 125s and 126s.
That's also a good thing to note as well, is that, as we can see, we're on board with him as Simon Mayer shuffles the wheel, or as in some circles would say, wheels very hard to try and keep the car in line and nice and tidy on track. Making sure. Oh, crikey. Barry's towed. Barry has towed for real this time. He's broken his front right wheel. He's had an accident. I'm pretty sure 90% of it is going. Oh, he might have had a massive accident. I'll tell you where. Into the. No. No!
Oh, wow. That's similar to what we saw not too long ago with Rodriguez.
Unfortunate. Another issue due to not being able to come off his line because he's already committed to it and having to keep it going, and just heartbreak from my heart goes out to him because he was running so well as he sees, I think that is going to be the car number, oh crikey, that's going to be the 76. The 76 again hits the tires.
Yeah, and that time it was really interesting because it was with the right rear that sent him around. So typically you'll see it with the right front and it'll catch the nose and come around, but instead it was the right rear, which really upset that car in a way that at the very end of the tire barrier. So unfortunate to see for him, but man, we've seen multiple incidents at that corner.
And it's heartbreak for Christopher Barry, who was on such a great run as well, because it's just unfortunate. Unfortunately, sometimes accidents you cannot avoid. And by the way, Antonio Ruiz has come into the pits. Does he file ahead of Foreigns Arabian in terms of pit strategy? Oh, ever so slightly. No, he doesn't. He's behind.
But based on lap times, and now that he has more fuel, he might be able to hunt him down. We're just going to have to wait and see. It's going to be a very interesting battle here between Arabian and Ruiz.
Barnes Arabian, if he is doing a fuel saving strategy, will need to continue to do that throughout the entirety of the race and not let up for one single micrometer. He cannot deviate. He has to do absolutely everything in perfect order, in perfect shape, to the bones. And if he tries to fight Antonio Ruiz, he'll risk a pit stop and it'll send him down the pecking order quite far away. But already Antonio Ruiz slides behind Florence Arabian and is ready for that overtake. Already closing the gap. Very effective pit stop. By the way, Rocco Horvath up into 5th.
And that car right in front of Arabian, that is the 203 of Arturo Lorero. He's doing everything he can just to kind of not interfere with these guys' race, but at the same time, I mean, all this has done is allowed Ruiz to catch right back up to Arabian.
Reminder that blue flags on the iRacing service are advisory. They are not mandatory, but it's also good practice. It's a good gentleman's agreement that once you see the blue flag to let cars by. Going the high line. Oh, crikey, that is going to be Antonio Ruiz starting straight away to push Florence Arabian's buttons and seeing what sticks on. Trying to go on the inside, but nothing doing. And by the way, that car 203 Arthur letting them by at pretty much the best place that he can, really, and lets them by coming up into turn 2. Now it's a straight fight between Antonio Ruiz and Florence Arabian for 2nd position. Does Simon Mayer duck into the pits now, or is he saving enough fuel? That's going to be Florence Arabian going wide.
Dudu Castro has come into the pits, by the way, stationary for 7.6 seconds, as we're just under 4 minutes to go now, working 3.5 to go. But Simon Mayer right now has got a huge lead over guys like Arabian and Ruiz.
Now that has sealed Castro's. We knew he was going to pit. His pace was looking like he would need to pit. Simon Mayer now into the pits. This is the critical moment. Does Florence Arabian's gamble of trying to extend to the very end of his fuel tank, does it work out for him? Because he'll have no fuel to play with. By the way, Simon Mayer blistering pit stop. He's out already.
Wow, that was a lightning quick pit entry and exit. He must have been practicing that because he gained about 4 seconds or so just on time spent on pit road. Wow.
Antonio Ruiz cannot afford to be held up any longer by the car number 6 of Florence Arabian. By the way, Tom Gradwell is also now into the pits. The only two that have not pitted is Florence himself and Ian Gibson. Has Ian Gibson played his ace card, and has he decided to play it again today? And has Florence Arabian looked at that and said, I'd like to see that, but it's really upending what Antonio Ruiz needs to do. He needs to get by Florence if he has even a sliver of a chance to get back towards Simon Mayer, who's leading this race with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, time absolutely flying by in this race. We've had some great action all the way through it, already ticking under 2 minutes, so it should be pretty close to, yeah, he does get by, yes, so Ruiz does get around Arabian, and man, these guys just having a ball out there right now. Is 1:40 left to go. The last couple laps here are going to be very exciting.
It's going to be white flag, I think. If it isn't going to be white flag, it is just going to be on the very edge of the white flag. But as on my mark, Simon Mayer crossed the line at 1:40 on the dot, so you will have one more lap. So this will be the penultimate lap. It's going to be exceptionally tight between these two. And what is going to be even worse for Florence Arabian, Dudu Castro is going to have the pace to get back up there. He'll have plenty of fuel. He took the pit stop. It's his absolute right to keep his right foot on the floor. Simon Mayer, look at him, just with a clear track ahead and behind.
Yeah, so Arabian still yet to pit. Rocco Horvath, he came in very early in this race, and he's worked his way back up to 5th. So yeah, he pitted 25 laps. So he basically pitted on lap number 5. And what that's done is he's been just able to run his race for so long at this point that he has just worked his way up into 5th place. He's 2 seconds, or sorry, he's 15 seconds, clear of Butenga in the 6th spot.
Rocco Horvath is probably my driver of the day because he had that accident on lap 1, turn 1, but that he turned that round upside down, made it end into a smile, and I'm pretty sure he's smiling given the fact that he has put in an absolute staunch effort today. White flag has flown for Simon Mayer. He has just crossed the line just in time to take the white flag It is now going to be in his ears. White flag, nice and smooth. As he comes around one final time, as he sees Antonio Ruiz in the mirrors. He was a second slower, but that's all he needs to be. He can still be a second slower. He can be almost 2 seconds slower than Antonio Ruiz this time by. And he will have had enough of a gap made. What a great race by Mr. Mayer here today. Holding behind Antonio Ruiz for as long as he did. And absolutely keeping a key. But Dudu Castro, he's closing in on foreigns.
Yeah, we've got some great battles here, especially between Castro and Arabian. But wow, it's gonna allow Arabian to get by, Castro to get by. He's gonna lose out on the podium right now.
Dudu Castro, oh,
and he's out of fuel.
Oh no, Foreign's Arabian may have trouble with fuel. This is not good. He's underestimated how much fuel he needs. Is he sputtering? But we need to come back to Simon Mayer because through an electrifying race of just holding position and the slow and steady wins the race. He ain't slow, but he is very steady and sturdy in that number 5 car. He takes the win ahead of Antonio Ruiz. Dudu Castro following up behind. This is Foreign's Arabian. He's out of fuel. He's out of fuel. He won't make... He's having to dump the clutch. The engine's cut off. He has to roll to the line.
And Botanga's right behind him. Is he going to get there in time? That's him right there.
Yes, he will.
Wow.
Oh, no. Foreign's Gibson. Oh, if Gibson had it. Gibson played his ace again. Came home 7th. If Foreign's Arabian had underjudged his fuel just a little bit more, he could have had 6th. And that is going to be it. That's a few remnants of the race come across the line. We'll take it to a quick break. Don't go away. We'll have post-race interviews and analysis. Stay tuned. An electrifying result here for Simon Mayer, who picks up his first win, I think, of the entire Formula V Weekend Warrior Series. And welcome back to you all with our grid results placed on your screens. In second place, Antonio Ruiz is going to be very happy to see a great result, but what could have been for that win? He was held up just enough by Foreign's Arabian. Dudu Castro, after a good pit stop, secures his final step on a podium and a pretty big smile on his face, I'd imagine. But not as big a smile as Rocco Horvath had when he saw the sputtering car number 6 ran out of fuel just before the start-finish line. Johan Botenga finishing at the top 5. And speaking of the sputtering car of the car number 6, Foreign's Arabian, after trying to do the Ian Gibson, didn't save enough fuel and ran out on turn 9 and had to dump the clutch and try and use every little scrap of fuel he had left to try and just get it around the last few corners, but still ran out on the start-finish line. Then we come to Ian Gibson, who once again very well executed his signature move now at this stage for the Formula V Weekend Wars. 8th, Jeremy Lewis. 9th is Leroy Coppage, and 10th is Tom Gradwell. In 11th is going to be Kern Nune, Arthur Lolorio in 12th. 13th is Kenneth Batley, Christopher Barry in 14th, Paolo Brem in 15th, and then finally are the guys who did not take to the checkered: Jesus Rodriguez, Frederic Richtig, Niels Sankowski. We actually did not see what happened to him, but he had to take another tow, and he decided it was not worth going forward. And then Chris Montgomery also did not finish the race. But we do have one guy who finished the race in P1, Simon Mayer. Appreciate you talking to us. And how was it out there? Have we got you, Simon? All right, we'll get back to Simon in just a second once we get him all sorted and all mic'd up. But second place is going to be Antonio Ruiz. Antonio, welcome back, my friend. How are you?
Hello, good night, guys. Good night, everyone. Yeah, I'm fine. I hope you too. You have enjoyed the broadcast.
Well, I certainly did. I was rooting for you, and it's another great result. It's your second place, and you're still, I think, on top of the leaderboards overall now. So how are you feeling about that?
I feel good. I could only feel good, that's for sure. And yeah, this is a great community. These guys are very clean racing, and I'm happy to be here on these Weekend Warriors.
Now, I did notice, by the way, that that Simon Mayer was holding station behind you. Were you trying your best to try and lose him, try and break that slipstream, or was it just something that was always going to happen, that he would have been able to stick behind you?
No, he was going to be able to stay behind. He have enough pace, and I was not doing, much different pace than them. At least the top 5 guys. Something happened at the beginning that they get some gap, and then we was like keeping the 3 seconds all most of the race, and then I don't know what happens on the pit stop. I may have some issues on that pit stop, and then Simon got it there, and congrats to Simon. Yeah, he did good. I'm happy for him for sure.
Yeah, we're happy to see you back once again, my friend. You're the winner for the S3s and second place overall. Do you have any shoutouts or any thanks you'd like to give?
Sure. I'm, as always, I always remember and appreciate Steve Ray, who is the creator of the league, and Ryan Sorrell, the guy for the points, the scoring, and Greg Stefanini. I think he's, sorry, Greg, if I'm spelling wrong, but Greg is also, organizing this together with Steve and all the other guys I don't know that are helping Steve. And for the racers, for you guys broadcasting, for the sponsors, and for everyone watching. Yeah.
I appreciate you, Antonio Ruiz. Congratulations on your P2. Hope to see you again next week.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Hope to see you too. Yeah. Take care. Bye.
Up next is going to be Johan Butanga. Johan is the winner of the S2s, or the amateurs. He didn't think that it would happen, but I can guarantee he's probably smiling beam to beam from how well it all turned out for him. Johan, how are you? Looks like we're having issues with Johan. We're going to try Simon once again, and he is the overall winner of the race here at the Legends RC. Simon, how are you? Looks like Simon having a few issues, but we'll try and give him one more time and see if he has any mic up. Simon, do we have a copy? Unfortunately, Simon also having issues, but we will be sure to talk to them after the broadcast. But unfortunately, that does end the broadcast for today. Thank you very much to everybody who tuned in and was watching the race. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'd like to give it once again a thank to our sponsors, 42 Stitches. Check them out at 42stitches.com and let them put together a package today, especially for you. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. This is here on your screen. And an additional thanks go out to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Jad, Joe, and Dougie. You can find out more about GSRC at the Global SimRacing Channel.com or through the social media listed on your screen. Also, please check out the merchandise store at the simracingmerch.com/GSRC. Come on, you know you want to pick up some good merch. We keep a link in the description box below. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as liking it so you don't miss out a moment here on GSRC. The next race will be at Alton Park on Saturday, October 16th at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Those have upcoming races floating across your screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendars. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.